We've been to Old Trafford, we've been to Wakefield. I hope you've caught your breath because it is ready for International Rugby League. 4 games across 2 weeks. Men's, women and wheelchair in action. This on the line. And 2 teams with a little bit of history.
The scimitar includes the words, "My strength is at its peak." You would not deny them that, would you?
Let's go.
Brilliant ball, Damian's on his way. Absolutely spectacular. Because Luhai's dancing now. Oh, he's found the gap, puts it back on the inside. Paolo spins it away. Luhai bats it on. Brighton will finish. That is incredible. Flags flying of these 2 nations all around the stadium. Forwards through the first line, and through the second, and through the third, and England on the try. Oh, eyes up Rugby League from Lingy Shah. Williams with a kick to the corner, here they go, Makinson! He pops it over the top, Lafay's got the footwork, and Lafay's got the try.
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Yeah, what an exciting time of year it is. 2 internationals for the England's men's side, both against Samoa, of course, at Wigan and then Leeds, and alongside me now, the man orchestrating it all. Sean, as England head coach, you have to sit tight for a lot of the season and wait for this time of year to get your team in camp and get these games. But now that you're here, just how exciting is it?
Yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to it. We're getting the players together and having a few weeks in the camp where we get on the field and we work really hard with the detail with the players to make sure they get up to England's standard, which is very different to what they do for the clubs. That's the most exciting thing for me, and I'm so grateful that we can put this 2-match test series on. Very grateful to the RFL and very grateful to obviously Samoa and Rugby League.
I'll get it out the way early on. The R word, revenge. We all know what happened 2 years ago, of course. I know that's been at the back of your mind ever since. Is there an opportunity to put something to bed a little bit in the next couple of weeks?
To be honest, we didn't deserve to win that game. They were the best team in that semi-final. I've always said it, and we underperformed. The one thing I don't want us to do is underperform again. We dipped below our standards, what we set ourselves, and that won't happen again. You know, we need to turn up at Wigan. I don't feel it's revenge. I just feel I'm desperate to win 2 games. And Jerome has come out and rightly said that's their aim and that's our aim. The test matches, 2 very proud countries, both really good at playing rugby league. So I suggest to everybody what watches this, or every rugby league fan and every sports fan, is get behind us, get to the stadium and make it a fantastic atmosphere.
Gone are the days when we had to wait for England to play Australia or New Zealand to get those kind of top tier. Obviously, fantastic series against Tonga last year. Loads of history now between England and Samoa. But how important is it to play these games, to get this England side looking the way you want it to look and achieving what you want it to achieve?
I think you bang on what you're saying. You know, it used to be 3 or 4 countries, and no, it's not. It's, you know, you got like really strong countries like Samoa and Tonga, and normally they'd be split off into New Zealand and Australia. And now they're really showing passion to play for their own country. And you can see, you listen to the stories this morning of what they're going through Samoa. They're a very, very proud nation. And I think it's fantastic for the game to have more countries. International rugby is the strength of our sport, and the more people we can get behind us this weekend, the better.
They're bringing some of the best players in the world over, have been this season and for a long time. Jerome is in the room, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is another one. But on the flip side of that, is this a real opportunity for England to prove that, you know, your Jack Wellesbys, your Mikey Lewises, the players that we've got coming through are some of the best in the world as well? Yeah,
absolutely, 100%. You've got Junior December, Liam Marshall, just been picked, and 2 new caps, and obviously Harry has played some fantastic rugby this year. We've won 4 trophies at club. George is our captain. We've got some great talent. There's no doubt about that. But this is their chance to show against the best. And make no mistake, you look at the players who they brought over Samoa. They're very strong players playing in a competition what is unbelievably the best. And that's going to be the big challenge for us.
Just touch on the kind of NRL contingent that you've been able to bring over. Obviously, you don't get a huge amount of time with those guys, but you must feel like they strengthen your hand considerably when you can get them into that wider squad. Yeah,
100%. There's no doubt about it. Victor Radley, Dom Young, KPP, all them sort of players that give us strength. There's no doubt about that. They'll all play in them next 2 games. but it's a great competition. You know, the NRL, I watch every game every week, and I'm so glad I've been given the chance to get them players over playing for us.
You've spoken about what Victor Radley brings. You spoke at the press conference about what Dom Young brings, and you mentioned a few names there. How much time do you get in an international camp to really kind of define those roles with those individual players throughout the team, or are you trying to kind of fit them into a game plan?
No, we spend the fair bit of time, and I've known Victor a long time now. In the World Cup, 6 weeks, 7 weeks I spent with him, and in that time you end up with a fantastic team spirit, and I can see this developing. We've had lots of off-field sessions this season and last season, and I've been an England coach for quite a few years, and you can see them relationships getting better, improving, getting tighter, and they easily slip into the England mindset when they come into camp, and that's what Victor Radley does. He comes into that. Jack Wellsby, no matter what was wrong with him, he want to play for England. All that combined leads to a fantastic camp. So even though you only get a couple of weeks, at a camp like this, we don't need that long, to be honest.
Just lastly, there's been a lot of talk about respect. There seems to be a huge amount of respect between the two camps coming into this series. On a kind of practical sense in terms of rugby league as well, can that breed better performances because both teams come into this with a huge amount of respect for each other and knowing that they'll need to be at their best? Yeah,
don't take respect for a lack of competition, and I am a fierce competitor. So is my captain, so are my players, and I have every respect for what Samoa do, what they're about, how they treated us after that semi-final. But make no doubts about it, we are going out trying to win 2 tests. They're going out trying to win 2 tests. You've got 2 really good teams going at it, Hammer and Tong, starting this Sunday. So even though there's a lot of respect between the countries, there's a desperation to win, and that means it's going to be a very, very physical game. Well, Sean, best of luck over the next couple of weeks. Thanks very much.
England are setting out to go 2-0. So are Samoa, of course. A massive couple of weeks of International Rugby League on the way. We've spoken to Sean. Let's hear from his opposite number, Ben Gardner. Sean Wayne there, very clear about what he wants to see from his side, but it won't be easy, of course, because Samoa come over stacked with superstars and with their head coach, Ben. Ben, firstly, great to see you guys. It's fantastic to have this series on, isn't it?
It's brilliant, but to be here in England and great to be part of a 2-match test series. Like from our point of view, International Rugby League is the pinnacle, and to be able to play 2 games against a side like England is pretty brilliant.
There's been a lot of kind of talk about this series about what happened at the World Cup, and obviously I know you weren't involved in that camp, but you're obviously coming in here with a team and a nation that really rode high throughout that tournament, getting to that final. Is there an opportunity for you guys here to build on that and what's happened in between?
Yeah, we've been trying to build as a nation coming out of that World Cup towards the next World Cup. As everyone knows, it's a 4-year cycle, and we're in the 2nd year of that cycle now. We were able to play 2 test matches last year in the Pacifics tournament in Australia. This is an opportunity for us to play another 2 test matches. So last year we had 9 debutants in that tournament. We'll have a number of debutants again in this tournament, and what that does for us is it just puts us in a position where we're building our player talent so that when we do get to the World Cup in 2026, we have a number of players to be able to select our best team from.
It really is a fantastic squad that you're bringing over. Obviously it was a strong squad at the World Cup, but the trajectory of Samoan Rugby League just seems to be going in one direction at the moment.
Yeah, we would like to think so. Obviously we had some games where we didn't win last year, but from my point of view as the coach, it was about developing some players and also developing our standards and what we're about as a team. So we worked really hard off the field to make some improvements around our camp, around some of our connection with our players, and also around the professionalism of what we were sending back to clubs and all of that sort of stuff. So we've been able to build that. We look to build that again on this camp, but obviously we get to go out on the field against a really strong side in England and get to test some of our younger players and see where they're at in terms of playing at the top level of the game.
There's some fascinating kind of matchups throughout the field on both sides of the ball. I think maybe the one that jumps out is obviously both captains, George Williams, Jerome Luai, playing in the halves. It's going to be a real kind of battle of the brains there, isn't it? And 2 outstanding players.
Yeah, it's actually funny how it works, isn't it? Like 2 captains, both playing the halves, and they're going to be standing directly opposite each other, I would think, once they go out on the field. Jerome on the left-hand side, George on the right-hand side, like face-to-face. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. Both of them have very different styles. One's a left-foot kicker, one's a right-foot kicker. One plays in the Super League, one plays in the NRL. So, a number of different things there to look at from the two of them. But what I know about both of them, they're extremely competitive. They're both winners. They both come from winning teams, and, they're going to lead their teams really well.
Obviously, in this day and age, you've got unlimited resource to be able to watch these players in the Super League and do your homework. But how much focus have you put on identifying England's threats and where they may be to hit you compared to the balance of just getting it right with your team?
What we've done at the moment is we're just focused on our own team. It's funny that you say there's unlimited resources, because there's not quite unlimited resources. We've had to dig and probe to find some things to be able to watch games and all of that sort of stuff. It's actually funny, in the NRL and in the Super League, they both use different programs to be able to watch their rugby league matches as coaches. So we found a little bit of a teething issue around that, but we're working through that at the moment. But at the end of the day, that's not the big thing. Like, the big thing is about us putting our team together and building our combinations before we worry too much about the opposition. What we do know about the opposition is they've got elite players in key positions. They've got elite players with great experience across the board. So, we know that we need to be ready once we go out there on Sunday.
I was really interested watching the press conference. You talk about the balance between the Rugby League side of things, but also the cultural side of things. You mentioned the faith side of things as well. We've seen fantastic pictures already. Was it Freddie Tuilagi you had with you at the airport and the scenes at York Minster? I guess my question around this is almost twofold. Is one, how much of that is about the life experience of being here and making sure you get the most out of it on and off the field, but also, is there an element of that bringing your guys closer together as a team in such a short space of time?
Yeah, most definitely. Part of it is about experiences like York Minster, but we believe that our connection is built through faith, and so being able to connect the players together through that to start with, that's a really good starting point for us. Then we're able to connect through culture and through heritage, which is a little bit different to what you would do, in your normal rugby league program. We like to embrace that as a group.
And kind of building on that, I guess we saw fantastic scenes back in Samoa and in the Samoan communities around the world when they got to the World Cup final a couple of years ago. How much does that backing, that kind of sense of togetherness around your team, drive you guys on?
It drives us really strongly, like our fans, our country, our community, back in the islands in Samoa, all over the world. There's really big Samoan communities that are behind us, and our goal is to go forward and put our best foot forward for those communities, as well as our families and as well as the playing group itself.
Well, Ben, great to have you here. We wish you some luck, not all of it, of course, from an English perspective, but fantastic that we've got this Test series on. It'll be fantastic to see your Samoa team in action in the next couple of weeks. Of course, we've got more than one international to look forward to this weekend. These guys do battle at the Brick Stadium, but just down the road, England Wheelchair will take on France. A bit of a grudge match in itself. Let's talk to the England Wheelchair captain, Tom Halliwell. Tom, International Rugby League, England versus France this time of year. It's all very familiar, but it's pretty special as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a yearly tradition now, isn't it? Us versus them, playing against it this time of the year. So, but international rugby for me is probably the best thing in the world. It's the pinnacle of rugby league, and to get the opportunity to sort of represent my country is a dream come true. So, and to do it against France as well, a really good team, really good nation and patriotic nation. Yeah, it's gonna be a really good contest and something that I'm really looking forward to.
Recent history tells us what this will be like. You've both taken results off each other in the most recent years. You'll feel, of course, you got the most important one 2 years ago, but there's a real genuine rivalry here, isn't there?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of respect off the field, but as soon as on the field, it's a war. We both go into battle for our countries, and not obviously in an actual war, but in our physical thing, we do see it as that. But yeah, we're really looking forward to it. And realistically, when it comes to this time of the year, this is the biggest stage. This is the best opposition in the world, and you want to test yourself against that. And obviously, we want to win the main goal in 26, and we've got a few mountains to climb before that, and this is one of them. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and can't wait to get going.
It's an England squad that changes and evolves year on year. How excited are you as captain by some of the new faces in the squad, some of the players that are coming through after what was, an unbelievably competitive Betfred Wheelchair Super League this year?
Yeah, it's been the best Super League season we've ever had, most competitive that we've ever had. So to see the shining lights in that season get a call up, it's very exciting to see, and to get to see them playing for the Super League and in England camp as well. I get to see how good they really are, and I think this squad is probably the best we've ever had. We've got talent all across the park, and I don't know how Tom and the coaching staff selected a squad, because everyone deserves to play and everyone deserves an opportunity to represent the country, which I think they will in the upcoming Test series. But it must be a headache for Tom to be able to pick. But it's a credit to all the players and for the season they've had for the club sides, and then when we come together as an England, whether that's been on camps or for the game this weekend. I think what the squad that we've got is very connected, and we pride ourselves on that, and that should come good on the pitch come Saturday afternoon.
Sold out signs are already up. It's a complete sellout. It'll be a packed house. Must be great playing in front of those big crowds, those big environments.
Oh yeah, for me it's the best feeling in the world. Like when you're pushing out and all you do is hear the crowd singing and chanting, it's the best thing ever, and it gives you that bit of energy and that sort of extra motivation to sort of perform. And when you have people chanting your name and cheering for when you score or when your team scores, or just cheering every hit, or when you hear the oohs and the ahs of the chair contact, it sort of makes everything like not worthwhile, but it means we're doing something right. So I'm really looking forward to this weekend, and hopefully get the job done for the crowd that comes out.
Well, best of luck, mate.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, England in wheelchair action this week against France, and from one England captain to another, George Williams joins us now. George, I know it's a long domestic season. I know you had a lot of ambitions with Warrington and a really good year in effect with Warrington, but as England captain, you must always look forward to this time of year as well.
Yeah, always. Every time we get some fixtures announced, I'm excited and privileged to play for England. So every time it comes around, real smile on my face. Really looking forward to getting into camp with the lads, and hopefully a 2-test series win will be perfect.
Yeah, it's a slightly interesting dynamic with being 2 tests compared to 3. You've got to win both to win the series. It kind of there's no second hit. There's no room for error. You've got to be pretty good on both games.
100%, and we know what we're coming up against. We're playing against some of the best players in the world. Some young NRL players that have probably not played international before, but we know they're no slouches. They're going to be some great players, and as England, I think it's a building block for us. I think obviously we beat Tonga last year. We want to do the same again with Samoa, and then we've got potentially Australia next year. So the calendar's looking good, but as an England group, we're just trying to build and get better year on year.
In terms of you for a personal level, obviously your job's slightly twofold anyway, as captain, but then also as one of the organisers in the halves. Is there a third element to it this year, potentially with the way the teams line up, that you've got one of the best players in the world in Jerome Luai opposite you two?
Yeah. Again, I love playing against the best players in the world. I like to think it brings out the best in me, and the challenge and the excitement of playing against the best players is brilliant. So there'll be some young lads who'll be nervous within the group who've never done it before. We're talking junior December. On the other end of it, who's 20 and never been involved in not those kind of games. He's played grand finals, but when you play international, it just goes up that extra level. And again, I enjoy the challenge of that.
Plenty of talk, of course, coming into this about who's going to be next to you in the halves. Obviously, Harry and Mikey, 2 players that have had outstanding seasons. It must be, whoever Sean picks for you must be just really excited to get out with one of them alongside you.
Yeah, and I think it shows the depth of England Rugby League now. Both Mikey and Harry that you mentioned are 23, 24. You've got Jack Wellsby, 23, 24. The future of England Rugby League looks great, and I'm just glad I'm not the coach, to be honest. But it's a great headache for Sean to have, and we've got so much depth now in every position. So I think that's why we're improving and we're developing it as a group.
Your career passport's pretty good. You've played in massive games, grand finals, cup finals, internationals. Of course, you had that time over in the NRL, but where does international football kind of fit into that for you?
Pinnacle. It's always the very, very top. To represent your country is always the best for me. So fortunate, I'm the captain too, which is extra special. And I mentioned before, beyond my wildest of dreams, but playing for England is the top, and internationals something that you should always strive for. And sometimes it's beyond your wildest dreams. So grateful to be here.
We've spoken to Wayne. He seems in pretty good, confident, determined mood ahead of this. It must be really nice going into that kind of familiar camp, familiar settings. You've had the same base since the World Cup.
Yeah.
New players around you, a couple of new, staff around you as well. But Can you kind of see the theme developing of what Sean's been building since he came in?
Yeah, he's changed it, to be honest. I think we've always had good players and players from different clubs, as now we feel as one. I know that might sound cliche, but generally the environment that we come into now at England is brilliant, and everyone wants to be involved in it. So the young lads that have not been in, Junior again, I'll mention him, Liam Marshall is a bit older. The lads that will come in, they'll fit in like a glove, because if you don't buy in, you stand out like a sore thumb. So everyone buys in, and when he's really good at that, just getting everybody on board and feeling as one.
What are you expecting from Samoa? Because they've got a real balance of young, old, experienced superstars, physicality all over the field.
Yeah, I think we can name every attribute, and they've got it covered. They're really good in all departments. Forward pack, they're always a big set of lads, and some Premiership winners like you're touching on, Jerome, who can just add something special and some magic. So we're under no illusions what challenge lies ahead, and something that we're actually really excited for.
Well, best of luck, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, some interesting battles all over the park, and it's thrown up one of those strange things that every now and then Rugby League does. Both captains playing in the halves, both lining up on the same edge. We've heard from George Williams. Let's hear it from his opposite number, Samoa captain Jerome. Well, Jerome, firstly, welcome. I think the last time I spoke to you was at a hotel in Manchester. You were with Penrith for the Betfred World Club Challenge. You're back, boots on, for these two games against England. How much do you look forward to these experiences, to get to a different place and play, different teams and in different environments?
Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity. Count myself lucky to be here and experience this, to play the game I love in a different country. It's something not many players get to experience, so going to relish this. And obviously I think being captain is unknown territory for myself, so just trying to lay a good platform for my team.
You mentioned the captaincy. You also come into this, of course, off the back of winning your 4th Premiership ring with Penrith. Have you thought about how you can kind of transfer that winning culture, that winning mentality you've had with that club into this international series?
Yeah, I think just using those experiences and being myself is the most important thing. I was a bit scared, getting this captaincy role, I might change in a way. So I just want to stay true to myself and be who I am and do what's gotten me to the situation in the first place. So really excited about that.
England versus Samoa takes on a very different look after the events of 2 years ago. Obviously, you're involved in that. How much have you spoken about what you came over and did last time that you were in this country as Samoa?
Not much, man. I think it's different circumstances now. We've got a whole different team. But we do have that rivalry there with England. I think we've created that, and I think it's good to have. It's a good challenge for us. We're a young side, and going up against an England team who have plenty of caps within their team is a great challenge for us. So I know all the boys are excited for that.
There is obvious crossover, Super League and NRL in both squads, but it is a very NRL heavy squad, of course, with Samoa against a very Super League squad heavy in terms of England. How much respect is there for those players applying their trade in the Betfred Super League, winning competitions with Wigan, that kind of thing? There's
always a respect there, man. I think over in Australia, people don't give enough credit to Super League and their players and how good of a competition it is. I think just watching the World Club Challenge game, I get an understanding of what they're capable of, especially over here in England. So, it's going to be a great challenge for us to play England in general, but I think to play them here in England is definitely a different beast. So, it's going to be an amazing experience.
Just the word of the conditions. You've played in this country at this time of year, of course. Does it make a difference? It's probably a question you get asked a lot, but is it significant, the weather and the temperature?
Nah, man, we're professionals, and I'd like to think we'd be able to play rugby league in any sort of weather that we're put out there to do. So, like I said, it's going to be a great challenge, no matter what the conditions are, whether they're fine or whether they're wet. It's still going to be a real battle out there. So that's all we need to get ready for.
The interesting nature of this being 2 tests rather than 3 is that you only get 2 opportunities to win. You have to be almost perfect on both occasions. What will it mean if you come away as victors in this series?
It'll be huge for us. I think I love to win and the feeling of that, but I think doing that on an international level is going to be a great achievement, especially over someone like England. So we'll see how we go.
Well, best of luck, mate.
Cheers, brother.
England and Samoa both well into their camps, of course. They kick off in Wigan. The second test is in Leeds. And ahead of that one, England women will be in action against Wales. Let's hear from their captain, Jodie Cunningham. Well, Jodie, good to see you. International Rugby League, you've obviously got over the heartbreak of what happened at the end of the Betfred Women's Super League season. How quickly did your attentions turn to this?
Really quickly, I think, especially when you've had a loss like that, I think you need something to refocus your mind. Had a little bit of sulking, really disappointed with our performance, and thought we possibly deserved more out of the season. But that's the way it goes. I think York were fantastic on the day and they deserved the win. So for me personally, and I think probably for a lot of the girls who are part of this England setup, it was good to have something to then refocus your brain, because actually that one's closed off, box done. Now we've got something else where we need to be at our best and ready to perform.
I guess the quality of that Betfred Women's Super League season, the battle that has been there for a while now between yourselves, Leeds and York, now kind of Wigan joining that into a top four as well. The players coming through, the talent emerging, some of it, some of it's experience, some of it's young players coming through. That must make it such a competitive squad.
Yeah, it is, and I think this squad changes all the time now because the strength in depth is ridiculous, and there's so many young girls constantly emerging and putting their hand up as contention for England. So, and you can see that by the squad that's been picked. There's lots of young girls. There's, I think, is it up to 4-6 potential debutants, so 20-player squad. There's a good chance there'll be a couple of debutants in there, and yeah, it's ridiculously hard to keep hold of your shirt now, and that's exactly what we want. That's how England becomes the best it can be, is because of the talent domestically, players playing in form and then finding the way into an England shirt. So yeah, it's exciting. It's hard to keep hold of your shirt for definite, but yeah, we're working really hard.
You don't get loads of time together. You don't get too many opportunities to play games. How important are couple of weeks like this?
Really important. Look, time together is massive. I mentioned all the changes we've got. A lot of those are in the spine as well. Full-back, halves. Hopefully I'll stick around as 13. But we've had a lot of changes in the spine, and therefore it's even more important that you get time together to, just work out those combinations. How do you run off each other? Getting those timings right. It's really, really important. So getting training time together is invaluable for us, and then an opportunity like this to test yourself against Wales and do it on the international stage is huge for us. So we're all excited, and I'm excited for the girls where it's their first opportunity. I still remember my debut, and it's a special time. Getting together, we're hopefully going to be able to put the best of what you've seen in the Women's Super League together and ramp it up a notch.
Well, how is this experience at the moment a bit of a balancing act? You've obviously played France, you come into this game against Wales. The next time England play after that is going to be relatively special. Is there a line between kind of treating Wales with the respect that they deserve and treating this game with the respect it deserves, but also using it as an opportunity to get things right for potentially bigger tests to come?
I think the biggest credit we can give Wales is that we're treating them like Australia, because that's what we need to do. That's the next test that we've got is out in Vegas in March against Australia. So we can't take Wales lightly, and we're definitely not. We know we've got to bring our A game. I think they're going to be a hell of a lot better than people expect. The scoreline probably didn't reflect how good they were last time, especially that first half. They had a good few opportunities on our line and probably should have executed and scored a couple. And they fixed up. They've worked really hard. They've added to that squad. So I think they're really going to throw some stuff at us, but we need to make sure that we're at our best. Against Wales, this is about performance as a team to give us confidence going into that Vegas trip and playing against Australia. But individually as well, this is your last playing chance to get on that plane, and I think the girls know that. They know they've got to be at the best after this. Stu Barrow and the coaching staff, they're going to select a training squad that'll train right through then, through to March, and everyone's desperate to be in that training squad first and foremost, but your performance now is going to, I'd like to say, go a long way to get you on the plane or not, and we all feel that.
You've had some good days as England at Headingley as well. It must feel a bit of a kind of home ground. Well, it is a home ground, but it must feel like a real base for you guys. Yeah,
it does. I think that's where we train as well as England all the time. All of our training base is done at Leeds Beckett, and then we always stay in camp out of Wheatwood. So that familiarity, I think, is really good for the girls. It gives you that little bit of comfortability when actually everything else is different. You feel and you are a professional player for a really short period of time. You're staying in camp. The girls never do that as Women's Super League teams. So all those little things that change and add pressure and add nerves to it, actually being comfortable in our training venue that we train at all year, at Headingley, where we've played a lot of international matches. Some of the girls play their home games there, obviously in terms of the Leeds Rhinos. So yeah, I think for us that's perfect. It's an amazing ground as well, and hopefully we'll get a big crowd in there to support the girls. Every single bit of this game tests us. It's, you know, the crowd tests us, being live on the BBC tests us, being in camp tests us as a new group. So that's what we need. We need all these tests. It'll give Stu either a yes or a no as to whether the girls can take it and whether there'll be any squad going forward, because let's face it, it's not just building for Vegas. You're building for the Ashes test at the end of the year and ultimately building to the next World Cup to do better than we ever have done before.
Well, best of luck.
Cheers.
So here we are, ready to go. One of the best times of the year. International footy. England men's, women and wheelchair against Samoa, France and Wales. 4 games, the very best that the world of rugby league has to offer. It's going to be an absolutely belting finish to the 2024 season.